Well, here we are, fans. UFL, a lot of changes just happened on Tuesday. Let's break it all down. I know I'm a day late on this, but honestly, I just got really freaking busy. But I'm here now. So let's talk about it. So much happened on Tuesday with the massive announcement of the new markets coming in, their team names, the new logos, the new stadiums. Wasn't expecting at all for them to drop everything basically all at once, but really big day for the UFL. It's a significant change to the league that is really changing the identity of the teams of the league itself. I don't want to say it kind of erases the last 2 years of the UFL, but it certainly feels like a really massive reboot for the league. So really interesting stuff going on in the UFL. So let's break it all down. Let's start with there's 8 teams in this league still. No more conferences. They got rid of the XFL conference, the USFL conference. It is 8 teams. Everyone's on their own. It's going to be the 4 best teams playing in the playoffs. And honestly, I love that. I know a lot of people like to kind of keep the XFL and the USFL like images alive, sort of just to kind of create that rivalry between the two conferences and their fan bases. But I know the league is trying to push for like a unified force between everyone. And honestly, I think the gimmick of the XFL and the USFL conferences are kind of gone. Just since the UFL has come together, it just hasn't been the same feel with XFL and USFL. So honestly, I've kind of moved on from it. So I actually don't mind it. I love that it's all one like conference, I guess you can put it. It honestly makes a ton of sense. Just to make sure you have the 4 best teams make the playoffs and not have a situation where back in 2023 you had in the XFL the Arlington Renegades, uh, who finished, 4-6, make the playoffs over the St. Louis Battlehawks, who went 7-3. Like this is going to be as fair as it can be. I think the scheduling is going to be interesting on how they structure it. Like who's going to play who twice a year, who's going to play each other once a year. Like, is it going to keep, kept regionally? Like, how is that going to work? So that's something that the league will have to figure out. And I think if the league moves to like 10 to 12 teams in the next 2, 3, 4 years. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe conferences come back or divisions come back just to separate it. But 8 teams in this league. Let's go ahead and name them off. Let's stick with the teams that had no changes. So Birmingham Stallions still going to play at Protective Stadium. Nothing's changed on their part. DC Defenders will still play at Audi Field, and the St. Louis Battlehawks will still play in the Dome at American Center. So no major change with them. They're kind of the only ones that really didn't go through many changes at all. Uh, the one I'm really excited about, obviously, is just because I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, is the Dallas Renegades. They are no longer the Arlington Renegades. They are back to being the Dallas Renegades, and they will no longer be playing at Choctaw Stadium. They're actually going to be playing at Toyota Stadium. Makes a ton of sense. One, personal reason, I save about 30 minutes on my drive to the games, but Toyota Stadium's a really nice stadium. I've been there when I had season tickets to FC Dallas. It's a really good environment. There's no bad seat in the house. It's a good condition field. The stadium's nice. I think it's going to be, and I think it seats like 20,500. So it's actually really perfect for what Mike has been trying to push with the league and trying to be more into the soccer stadiums and kind of move away from it. So kudos to Rapoli for making that change. I think that was one that was necessary for the Renegades. And honestly, like the Arlington name was just super weird. It never made sense. I like the fact that they went back to Dallas and try to keep it more inclusive into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then they did a really good job with the logo, bringing it back to the old logo and kind of removing that, um, that techie look R that they had when the Arlington Renegades rebooted. So, I mean, the fan base is really for the Renegades have always wanted that bandit logo. Even though I've always kind of found to be a little bit generic, it's kind of the image of the team now, and I would have preferred it myself. So, great job overall on the Dallas Renegades. Thank God I don't have to say Arlington Renegades anymore. It just sounds so weird off the tongue. So, kudos to the league for making that change. Another change that a very interesting one. In Houston, they will no longer be the Roughnecks. They are going back to being the Gamblers. They kind of updated the logo a little bit. That seems to have a little more yellow in this one, so it's kind of an interesting color scheme with the black, the red, and the yellow. But they're also going to move their stadium to Shell Energy Stadium. So that's where the Houston Dynamo's soccer team plays. So a good location, I think, for the UFL. I think that's a it makes, again, soccer stadium. That seems to be the trend. Everyone's going to move to a soccer stadium for the most part, outside of just Birmingham and St. Louis. They're all still staying. The both of them are still staying in their, I guess, quote unquote football stadiums. But the rebranding of the Gamblers, I don't quite understand it. I don't mind it. I mean, I covered the Gamblers when they were at the USFL a couple years ago. Like, I like Gamblers. I think it's cool. I think there's I think it's a good name, but I don't know if the league is just I'm trying. I guess we're all trying to understand, like, why the rebrand. Do they feel like there's more prestige that comes with Gamblers, and maybe try to connect the city with maybe the older audience that watched them back in the '80s in the old USFL? Like, that's the one that kind of, I don't mind it. Like, I think they wanted to change it up a bit in Houston to try to maybe spark some energy, spark some excitement within the city just because of how bad the attendance was last year. But I don't quite understand the move. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish with it. Um, I mean, I like the logo. I like what they did. I think it's really cool. I think it's it's a nice upgrade from what they had previously with the Gamblers. So I don't mind it in that sense. But like, I'm looking at the logo right now, and the black, red, and yellow, like, I'd be very fascinated to see how that uniform is going to look, because that might actually be pretty slick. But I mean, overall, the stadium, I mean, I don't know if the stadium's going to make a difference either. um I think it will look better on TV if they don't have as many fans coming to those Gambler games. But the only change I would have honestly requested regarding the Gamblers is maybe changing their head coach. That would have been, CJ Johnson. As much as he's such a nice guy, and I'm going to do another video on, like, head coaches coming up for the league, but that maybe would have been a change that I would definitely make for Houston. But otherwise, um, cool concept, cool logo. I like the colors, but I don't really know if it's going to really help with sparking the fan base in Houston. But we'll see. I mean, hopefully they'll step up and come out to the games. Otherwise, I mean, I can't even believe they survived in the first place to for 2026. So if maybe they'll get 10,000 fans a game, I doubt it, but we'll see what happens to Houston. So that one was kind of fascinating. But let's talk about the three new teams that are coming in. We'll start with the Columbus Aviators. This is one that I think we all kind of suspected was going to happen, just because the Aviators name has been kind of on the back burner for a while with the league, just because of what they had with the spring league back in 2021. And Aviators was one of the teams that part of that, out of the hub system they had with the spring league the year before. They decided to launch the USFL. So I think they've been kind of waiting to use that name for a long time, and makes a lot of sense for Columbus. And the color scheme is solid. Is going to be light blue, the dark blue, and red, so that's nice. Yeah, I think it was pretty solid for the Aviators part, and obviously they're going to be playing at historic Crew Stadium. So again, another soccer stadium, not a massive. I think 20. I think it's just 20 plus thousand seat stadium. So um, I'm hoping Columbus may be the one location that I feel like could probably can have the most success out of the three relocation teams. So I will say I have a lot of optimism for Columbus. I know the league's been wanting to try to get into Ohio for a while now, and they finally got that opportunity. They have the right stadium. I think they have the right branding that I think will get people excited in Columbus. So I actually really like what they've done with the Aviators. So really excited about that one. Be fascinated to see how they do in Columbus. And we'll talk about this in a little bit, but who ends up being the head coach, who gets the roster, like there's a lot of questions that come with that too. Next, Orlando Storm. Um, it's a generic name, but I like the logo. But a lot of people have compared it to the Tampa Bay Storm arena team, which makes a ton of sense. There's a lot of similarities with it. The one thing I will say I really like that they did was they brought back the color scheme of the Orlando Apollos of the Alliance of American Football. I think that's a great tie back to Orlando fans thinking, oh, I remember that color scheme. Like I remember a good Orlando team that was there, not the crappy, light green, dark green crap that was the Guardians back in 2023. Like I remember the Apollos and the Alliance of American Football in 2019, killing it, being the best team in the league and probably the champion of the league if anyone would name it. So I think it's a little subtle tip to the hat to the Apollos, which I really like. So ultimately, I think that's a really good choice in that aspect. Location wise in Orlando, you guys know I kind of have some hesitation with it, but I will say in terms of what stadium they're going to be playing in, they're going to be playing at Inter and Co Stadium, which is where the Orlando soccer team plays for MLS. So again, the soccer stadium theme seems to be the trend that 6 of the 8 teams are playing in soccer stadiums. It's a good stadium. I think, for stadium location wise, it's good. I'm just worried about Orlando as as a actual market in this league. I know that Mike Rapoli and his crew were there yesterday or Tuesday to have the press conference about the Orlando Storm. I think they're going to have to do a lot of work when it comes down to Orlando. That city has been burned a few times from Apollos in 2019 to the Guardians in 2023 after Danny Garcia has said, no, we're staying here. We're sticking here for a while, and then just pulled the rug right after them, right under them after 1 year with the UFL merger. So it's going to be interesting if Orlando will actually buy into this team. I am not as optimistic. I know they want to be in Florida, and I can understand that since it's such a massive state. Uh, but I hope it works. I think a Florida team would be very good for the league, but overall, I just don't know if I really feel like it's gonna really work. So, we will see. We will see how it works with the Storm. And then last but not least, the Louisville Kings. They will be playing in Lynn Family Stadium. Color scheme is a lot like the Guardians, so I hope Louisville fans like the mixture of dark and light green, or the lime green, I guess. I'm not 100% a fan of the color scheme. Kings, I mean, honestly, a lot of for us in the media that have been talking like behind the scenes about the UFL, a lot of us think like this really feels like Mike Rapoli really wanted to move the Stallions to Louisville and be the Louisville Stallions just because of his connections with horse racing and Kentucky being such a big state with the Kentucky Derby and all that. But just because of the awesome response from the Birmingham Stallions fan base and the city, seems like that kind of backfired on them a little bit. So it feels like Kings is just a name they threw out there, and they wanted to make sure they had the horse logo on there so it looks cool and it connects with what the state is all about in Kentucky. So I mean, the Louisville King one, like, I don't mind it. I think it's a nice logo. Color scheme's okay. Overall, I feel like that's kind of the most generic one. But, Lynn Family Stadium's a good field to play on. So I think Louisville's a great city overall. It's one of the biggest cities in the country that doesn't have an NFL team. So I think you're tapping into a market that doesn't have a lot of professional teams within it. And I think you can try to grab some of those Louisville Cardinal fans, those Kentucky Wildcat fans into that city and get them watching the Kings. So I think Louisville's a great choice, a great city for the market. I just didn't love the branding of it, but that's okay. I mean, I think we run into this a lot where so many times when teams have done rebranding or new leagues come up, we always question the branding stuff. This might be something in a couple years I may end up liking and, be okay with. But for now, it's just pretty meh in my opinion. I hope it sparks Louisville to come out and watch those games. But overall, pretty solid. I think overall, like for the branding of the league, and they even changed the logo of the UFL. So overall branding, I thought they did a good job. I think Mike Rapoli really wants to move away from what people know about the UFL the last couple of years. I think he just wanted to almost tear away everything from last year just because it just wasn't a great season overall for the league. No matter how we want to put it. Yes, the on-field product is really good. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes down to marketing and branding and all that work that, the lack of work that was really done to be transparent, I think Mike Rapoli really wanted to move away from it. So kudos to him and the league for making those changes. Um, Other things to kind of talk about. I think it's been brought up that it seems like the league wants to focus on bringing in local talent. So, anyone that, let's just say for Columbus, Ohio, they want to bring in players from Ohio, used to play for Ohio State and really try to bring them into the league and bring them into the Columbus Aviators. They believe that will probably that can help with attracting more fans into those games if they know the players locally, which I really like that idea. It's kind of building like a farm system of sorts where you can tap into those local Ohio colleges and see if you can bring in talent and get fans excited about going to the games just to see them. So I like that part of it. I think that's a good idea, and I think that will hopefully help out with bringing in fans to the stadium. Um, the start date, they're going to start Friday, March 27th. So that's a few days sooner than when it started earlier this year for a 2025 season. So, um, again, the March 27th, it sounds like Mike, Rapoli might look into changing that later in the future and moving up the start date maybe starting in 2027. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. But I mean, my feeling has always been I think you need to you strike the iron while it's hot, especially with Super Bowl happening. And then the week after, there's that first weekend of like, oh man, there's no football. You can just tap right into it, be like, hey, here's UFL football. We're playing, let's go. So I've always liked playing the week after the Super Bowl, but I'm also, you know, more prone to being with what the XFL did versus the USFL. So maybe a little biased in that aspect, but I love being able to watch football all year. So I think being able to jump in and play right after the Super Bowl, you got a lot of momentum coming from it. I think people are, still talking about the Super Bowl afterwards, but they want to still be able to watch football. So I think that's one way they can go about it. But for now, looks like the Friday night game is going to be the opener. So we'll see who ends up opening that. It sounds like that Friday night game again will be on Fox, which it was last year. I think it was kind of mixed on how it worked. The ratings weren't spectacular, but it's a Friday night and you're battling against other competition. You're battling against honestly the day. It's Friday night, so a lot of people want to go out and have fun. So I don't know if a lot of people want to go and watch football, but at least it's at least one time slot a week that the league can be in prime time. So I can't really complain about that. Uh, yeah, I think overall this was it's a good launch. I think it's a good starting point. I know there's going to be a lot of, showboats and Brahmas and Panther fans who may be feeling, not so happy about what's going on with the changes to the league and stuff like that. But honestly, I think all the changes were necessary. And I know people kind of have a trust issue right now with Mike Rapoli and stuff like that. I think Rapoli is doing all the right stuff. I think he's doing all the right things. He's making the changes that were necessary because, look, guys, the reality is the regime has been running it the last couple years. They did a good job of getting it launched up pretty quickly. They did a good job of, keeping the league up, but they have not done enough. And I think we can all acknowledge that from a marketing perspective. They just have not done enough. I think they have focused way too much on the on product the on product on the field product, I should say, and nothing else has really happened. Nothing's really improved. Like, attendance has gone down, ratings have gone down. Like, something needed to change. And I think Mike Rapoli is just stripping everything from and starting over from scratch. I think it's a hard reset that the league needs if they want to survive. I think this will spark more excitement going into next March, that I think will have more fans and more of the casual football viewers coming in and watching the games, because that's what they need to do at the end of the day. They need to be able to, one, tap into the local markets, get people to buy tickets and actually come out to the game, but also, change some things up so that the casual football fan will be like, oh yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that. Let me go check out the game for an hour or two. So these are necessary changes. They're tough changes. Some of them kind of suck. Some of them are going to be, might take some adjustment, but they're necessary changes for the future of the league. And ultimately, that's all we want at the end of the day, is to make sure we have a league that is successful and keeps moving forward and, stays alive and doesn't end up like the XFL or the USFL or the Alliance of American Football and just die out after, 1 to 3, 4 years. We need to have a league that's going to help with the ecosystem of football, because that's what it's all about. Make sure the players have jobs, coaches have jobs, staff members have jobs. So these are necessary to help with the future of the league. So I'm really excited about the changes. I think they've done some really good stuff. Obviously, there's a lot more that's going to have to come out of this in terms of like how they're handling the rosters of the relocated teams. Who are the coaches going to be? Because it seems like there's going to be some coaching changes. Might be good old John Gruden coming in and coaching in this league. Who knows? It really does seem like he's going to be a part of this in some capacity. So we're going to have to watch to see what other changes come from it. So let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe, comment. Do you like the changes made? What are your thoughts on this new look UFL? Do you think it's going to work? Do you think it's going to fail? A lot of stuff to kind of digest. I'll make more videos on, upcoming stuff that's happening in the future with the UFL, because there's still so much that I feel like we can unpack with this. So that's going to do it. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you soon.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.